Hey guys, I'm gonna just hop into the video because I've already started to spend too much time making this video. In today's video, I'm gonna be talking about what I think are some of the best shapes of pastas. Just something that crossed my mind. I was talking about it with my sister earlier today, I guess. Going over like overall what our favorite pasta shape is. So I'm gonna run through a couple of them in different categories because I think you do need to separate into categories for the most part to kind of come down to a final answer. Because not every pasta shape can be used for every use, basically. And I think I'll be able to show that pretty clearly, but let me, I guess, just start getting into it. So, to start off with, I'm separating ravioli, tortellini, to stuffed pastas. They're kind of its own thing, so I'm not going to really decide between all those, so to speak. There's a couple others, too. I'm trying to avoid going up, like, way over people's heads with different pasta names and stuff. I'm trying to keep it relatively simple. Two other ones I think that are kind of separate and aren't like primary components of conversation are shells, known as conchiglie, which, you know, classic shells I think are fantastic, but very specialized use. You can't really throw it in with everything. And then rotelle, or rotelle, I've always called it rotelle. No, rotelle might be the sauce that I'm thinking of. Whatever. They're called wagon wheels. That's probably what most people watching this would know them as, wagon wheels. So wagon wheels and shells, I think, kind of fall in their own little category of very specific use. I love wagon wheels. Wagon wheels are most similar to Kraft, like SpongeBob mac and cheese. And usually they're much bigger, though. So you can have wagon wheels that are very, very tiny, which are good in mac and cheese. Overall, smaller pastas, I think, work well in mac and cheese. That's why Kraft uses the very tiny macaroni. The elbow pasta is macaroni. Shells can work well in a macaroni and cheese. But overall, those are better uses for those. Rotelle, I should have probably looked up how to pronounce words before I actually got into this video. So I'm going to cheat a little bit and make sure I'm actually saying it right. Let's stick with rotelle because I wasn't able to Google search it real quick. But rotelle can be good with salt, like a meat sauce type of thing too, which leads me into my most common used categories, which are meat sauce type pastas. So chunky but mostly saucy, not like big meatballs or anything like that in it. So with those kind of pastas, I like to do small tubular pastas. So rotelle could work for that, but again, very specialized use, I think. Works best with like a creamy type of sauce. Whereas my staple for if I'm doing a meat sauce type of thing is usually penne. I like it a little better than rigatoni in most cases just because I feel a better ratio of pasta to sauce and meat and stuff. Rigatoni is usually fatter, more tubular with the ridges on the outside, which is also good for meat sauce, but I just like penne better. And then ziti, I don't like the outside of ziti is usually a flat. Outside it's kind of like rigatoni, but flat on the outside. Just not a fan in general. I guess you could use, say, a corkscrew pasta for, a shell pasta conchiglie for any kind of meat sauce, but I think shells really work best with very good uses for shells is mainly mac and cheese. I think it works better with mac and cheese, and then mini meatballs in the case of the like Chef Boyardee pasta brand. Also, since I'm kind of in this category of types of pastas, another great one that I actually like this better than macaroni if I have the choice between things is cavatappi, which is a corkscrew tubular pasta. I'll get into a different type of corkscrew pasta later, but this is where it's like a long tube and it's curled up like a pigtail. If I have the option between like that and macaroni, I prefer that just because it's more to grab onto. So in like a mac and cheese, it might seem weird. It doesn't really fit in with mac and cheese and stuff, but I do kind of like it in a mac and cheese. Also, I feel like I should get into the stringy pastas. Stringy pastas, the long stringy pastas are things like spaghetti, linguine, fettuccine. All of those are what I'm going to call stringy pastas. Out of all those, I like spaghetti best. I don't like the flat linguinis and fettuccines. Angel hair, the real thin spaghetti type of pasta is just too thin for me. Spaghetti is just a nice balance of all those, I feel. So that's why I use that with big chunky meals. So meatballs, sausage, Sunday gravy, that type of meal, Italian meal. I feel spaghetti works best for those. Now, we're going to get into some pastas where I think you can kind of make them work for anything. The first one I'm going to bring up is one that my sister mentioned that she thinks is the ideal pasta, works for anything, is bow tie, and I can't say I disagree. Bow tie pasta, it works well with a mac and cheese. Definitely could make it work well with a sauce, with a meat sauce. And I think you can get away with it for the big chunky meats. So things like meatballs and sausage, Sunday gravy type that we were talking about. But above those, the one I'm going to say is my favorite pasta. It's going to be rotini, which, different than fusilli, which I don't know if that's probably talking over most people's head. Fusilli is like a longer corkscrew pasta, whereas rotini is like the shorter corkscrew pasta. Rotini, I think, works really well with pretty much everything. Again, it's hard to say that tiny curly pastas like that, similar with what we were talking about with the bow ties, anything with a lot of ridges that's smaller is a little difficult to work with a big chunky pasta like what we usually use as spaghetti meatballs, the meatballs, the sausage, all those. But I still think it could work pretty well for it. Again, ideally, if I'm ordering a dish like a spaghetti meatball Sunday gravy, I'll probably go with spaghetti in that case. But if I'm ordering any kind of meat sauce, shrimp linguine type thing, rather than linguine, I would probably prefer to get it with a rotini, or maybe farfalle is a fancy word for bow tie pasta, but the bow tie pasta I think work great with those. So just some fun ones to talk about. Just thought it would be a different subject, a little longer. So with that, I'm going to wrap this video up here. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in tomorrow's episode.